everyone, and thank you so much for joining us again for another edition of the Direct Line Development Vlog series. Today, we're going to be talking about what does it cost and what is it worth to develop a business logo. Now, if you were to poll random passerbys on the street and ask them how much they thought it would cost to develop a professional business logo, chances are they would be guessing at or below $1,000. If you were to show them a series of popular logos, such as, let's say, Google or Nike, and ask them how long they thought it would take to develop a logo, chances are they would guess 2 weeks at the very most. These misconceptions of brand identity are incredibly widespread in today's business community and often lead to business owners being caught completely off guard by the actual cost of developing a logo, but also by the sheer amount of time and effort that go into developing a seemingly simple piece of art. A well-done original logo, developed by a creative graphic artist, will cost you at a bare minimum approximately $5,000. Doing simple research for brand identity in Philadelphia brings you to an array of pricing ranging from $5,000 to $25,000. Imagine the look on Caroline Davidson's face if she were to have seen the prices today. For those of you unfamiliar, Caroline Davidson was the woman who was paid $35 to draw the checkmark that became the hugely popular logo of Nike. We understand that these figures seem exorbitantly high to those outside of the world of brand identity, but this does not change the reality. So let's work together to determine where exactly these prices are coming from and what exactly goes into creating a professional brand for a business today. Now, first we're going to talk about the logo development and brand creation process. Now, before I dive into this, I would like to note that the logo development process described in this video is that of our own company, Direct Line Development. And there may be some steps that differ from those of other brand identity companies, but the basic steps will all be the same regardless of the company creating the logo. Now, before any work can begin on the design side, we need to first learn everything there is to know about the company with which we will be working. We will schedule an initial meeting that requires the business owner as well as any other parties involved in the discussion to fill out many different pieces of information that detail their likes, dislikes, preferences, style inclinations, attitude on certain colors, and the like. The goal is to ask enough questions up front so that before our designers even hit the drawing board, they have a relatively good idea about what the business will like and what they will not like. This is going to save time and effort in the long run, both of which contribute to the overall cost of the project. Now, our initial analysis does not stop at the business itself, but also continues on to the analysis of the industry and the business's direct competition. It's incredibly important to understand the design trends of the industry because it helps us to better gauge what customers in the sector are receptive to and what they're not. It does a company no good if they have a logo that is created uniquely for them yet feels out of place to their potential customers. Each industry has a set of branding standards that act as guidelines for acceptable branding. This is not to say that these guidelines are set in stone or that it's always unadvisable to stay within a safety zone, but when creating a logo, it is important that each move and stroke of the pen be calculated and their efforts be understood well in advance before the brand is formulated. Now, at this initial meeting, as a rule, we always have the account manager, art director, and at least 3 designers present. These people need to hear the details directly from the customer because communication, while important in all types of business, is undoubtedly so in brand identity. Once the meeting concludes with the business people from whom the brand will be developed, our personnel then host a team-wide meeting to discuss the customer's needs and preferences. They're going to brainstorm ideas and categorize their thoughts in a uniform, concrete plan that outlines timelines, goals, budgets, etc. Having a plan to work with is a key in successfully creating a unique and creative logo for any company. Now, after this meeting, the initial stages begin. Each designer or artist is given a few days to prepare his or her ideas and present them to the team. The second meeting is where the team congregates as a whole, yet again, to discuss their initial works and consolidate popular themes and ideas and discard the ones that won't bring more value to the project. The art director plays a key role in this meeting because it is with their guidance that it is only with their guidance is the team going to be kept on track while pushing the project forward and avoiding stagnation and inconsistency. As a general rule, 1 to 2 concepts presented by each designer are selected by the group to be pursued in further detail, taking into account the findings and decisions of the meeting. Now, what one must understand about this stage of the brand identity process is that we are not only trying to nail down the idea for the logo and what it will consist of, but we're also laying the groundwork for the company's overreaching style as a whole. The logo will be the main face of the company's brand and image, and also sets the framework within which all other aspects of the company's brand needs to fit. If your logo is soft and relatively monochromatic, your business cards should not be vibrant and edgy. These inconsistencies are what make a company seem disorganized and out of sync. These designers, again, are given a few days to further develop the initial concepts. Third meeting, the general direction of the project becomes more solidified. For when the design drafts are again presented, it is clear which choices will be a better fit for this particular project and which ones will not. It is important, though, that we have our designers develop multiple options up until the point that the team needs a variety of options from which they can compare and contrast. Sometimes 2 or more concepts are even merged together, taking the best parts of each prototype and further enhancing the logo's creative edge. If at this stage we still have not yet reached the point within our project that we have an idea that we would like to develop further, we return to the very beginning and start from scratch. Our system of creating multiple concepts, however, usually serves as a hedge against such instances, though it does occur occasionally. The more likely problem at this stage is that we have an abundance of good ideas and trouble determining which one of them is the best. Not necessarily a bad problem to have, in my opinion. So once the best idea is finally decided upon, we schedule another meeting with the customer to present the results of our initial 1 to 2 months work. This meeting is very important, and so all the necessary people are again present. We take the customer and run through a detailed analysis of what was done with the logo and the thought process behind each step. We are always sure to tie each explanation back to what was originally discussed with the client, because as you can imagine, their opinion at this stage could make or break the entire project. It is not uncommon, however, for the customer to give valuable feedback that we can then use to enhance the brand identity project to their liking even more. There will be cases where the customer is entirely unsatisfied with the development of the logo up to this stage. The point to first be made is that this is entirely okay. We're not going to argue with the customer because we too understand that a logo you don't love is not a logo worth having. Instead, we sit with our clients and ask very detailed questions as to what they don't like and what they were expecting and why. And what they would prefer is different. It's definitely great if we can meet all the customers' expectations and needs in the first shot. But if we do not, we want to make sure that we're still making progress with each conversation. With further customer feedback in mind, in the case that they're not satisfied with the original work, we, as a rule, make one more redesign for them, taking into account all their newly voiced concerns and preferences. After the logo is finally approved by the customer and everything is to their liking, we put the finishing touches on, begin our work for the rest of the company's brand. This process and phase cannot take place until the logo is approved because, as I mentioned before, the logo sets the stage for further aspects of a company's brand. A good brand means overreaching consistency. Now, for our customers, we develop what we like to call a brand book. This booklet contains a variety of different elements of the customer's brand that can and will be used in a variety of different outlets. Obviously, the design specifications for a billboard will greatly differ from those required for a company-wide email signature. We will always walk our clients through the brand book and teach them how they can use the various aspects of it to their advantage. So now what I would like to do is summarize and briefly go over the stages and the time needed in order for each step to be properly implemented. Now, as I'd said before, it all begins with getting acquainted with the company. This is usually between 1 to 5 days. Filling out the brief that follows is 1 day. Now, study of the competition comes in next. This takes between 2 and 5 days. The art director then meets with the designers and project managers to plan initial sketches. This is 1 day. Design team then drafts the initial sketches. This can be up to 5 days. Then the second meeting happens, and the client chooses the best of the sketches. This is 1 day. The design team then revisits the work, improving on the selected ideas, once again being up to 5 days. The third meeting then takes place. The client chooses the idea that will be used for the remainder of the logo development. Once again, a 1-day process. The final study and reworking of the no more than 3 concepts for the corporate identity then takes up to 3 days. The final presentation of the completed work then happens. The client chooses their favorite. This is 1 day. Finally, a detailed elaboration upon the final concept is selected by the client, and this can take up to 5 days. Developing the brand book then comes next for 3 days, and delivery of all work to the client is then 1 more day. So the total process under this estimate is between 27 and 37 working days. So let's get into one of the more sensitive parts of this. What if I know my logo is not very good, but I don't think I can change it because I've already had it for so many years? Now, a newly redesigned logo is a sign of a company's growth and its renewed commitment to the times. In fact, sometimes the only thing holding companies back from earning more profits is their image. If a company hasn't redesigned its image since the 90s, many potential customers will look elsewhere because they perceive that company to be underdeveloped and lagging in the market. Logo designs can be small updates or full-on massive projects. The scope of the project is determined by what the customer wants and what is discussed at the initial meeting. We can almost always breathe new life into a dying brand. Once again, let's bring it all together. I and we here at DirectLine strongly advise that you consider your company's brand identity a top priority in its success strategy. It serves as the cornerstone of public perception. The better a company is perceived, the higher its potential profits will be. We here at DirectLine have professional artists who work with these matters on a daily basis. And if you have any questions about your brand or logo, feel free to give us a call or leave us a comment in the section below, and we'll be happy to guide you in the right direction in this process. Thank you so much for joining us again for another edition of the DirectLine Development Vlog series. We hope you learned a lot, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.